The Iowa women put on a shooters fest this evening, 113-90 over a team in Drake that actually pushed the Hawks to overtime just last year down in Des Moines. Welcome to From the Hawkeye of the Storm, our Iowa postgame coverage here at From the Hawkeye of the Storm. Again, the Hawkeye women victors this evening, 113-90 over the Drake Bulldogs, a team picked to finish in the top 2 or 3 of the Missouri Valley Conference, and a team that shoots the ball very well. But boy, we have not seen a shot type of a night offensively for Iowa to date yet this season. The Hawkeyes on the night shooting 64% from the field and 54% from three. 13 three-point shots made. They missed just one free throw, 91% from the line. The only category in which they really lost handily was rebounding, but it didn't matter. When you make that many threes and are that efficient from the field, you can overcome subpar defense at times and subpar rebounding, and that's exactly what we saw this evening. The Hawks gave up 90 to a very good offensive team in Drake, but still won by 23 points. A coming out party for a number of Hawks, including Kate Martin, who finished the day with 25 points, 10 field goals for Kate Martin, 10 of 12 from the field, including 3 threes. This is the Kate Martin they desperately need on a regular basis. And I don't know if this can materialize on a game-by-game basis, but it's something they desperately, desperately need. Gabby Marshall's still struggling, 0 for 3 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3. This is kind of who she is. She got on offensively late last year in March and helped this team to a Final Four and a national championship game appearance, but she's still struggling offensively. All of a sudden, Molly Davis looks sort of like the player we expected her to be when she got here a little over a year ago from Central Michigan, finding ways to score and being very efficient in doing so. She was 2 of 2 from 3, 4 of 6 overall from the field, was in double figures once again. Molly Davis kind of becoming that steady Eddie second scorer right now. Even Hannah Stolke struggled tonight. Just 4 points for Hannah. But boy, a lot of minutes, a lot of run for Sharon Goodman, who ended up in double figures. Caitlin Clark was really efficient. This is the kind of stat line this evening, folks, that you're going to want to see moving forward for this team to have a chance to repeat what happened last year. And some of this is unpredictable, right? We get this. We get how the NCAA tournament is a one and done type of format. It's win or you go home. 2 years ago, they lose to Creighton in the was that the second round? I guess the second round of the NCAA tournament. Last year, of course, they make the national championship game. Was last year's team that much better than the team of 2 years ago? I don't think so, but that's how random things can be. But the pieces that were shooting well in March last year at that time are going to have to do the same thing this year in March. Of course, we got a long journey to get there. We're going to enjoy that journey, and tonight was a part of that. Again, 113 points scored by your Iowa Hawkeyes. We have our sponsors to thank for the show this evening. You see the bottom ticker, Iowa Smokehouse is sponsoring our show. They're also sponsoring our call-in line. And before we give a shout out to Iowa Smokehouse specifically, as well as our other sponsors, let's go to our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line. We've got James on hold. James, welcome to the show.
How you doing?
Doing good, sir. How are you?
First off, the whole Molly Davis part, it kind of reminds me of like Robracha. Like Robracha's first year in the man, he wasn't. It took him time, you know what I mean, to kind of get like accustomed to the team, and that's what it seemed like for Davis. Like, it kind of took her time to get accustomed. It seemed like she get accustomed so far this year, at least, which is something that you're gonna need in the long run. But that's just how I look at it. As like maybe like the Robracha situation. It took like Robracha almost a whole year just to kind of get used to the Big Ten play and like the physicality, like how to play against higher competition.
I think that's fair. And, Molly, the one thing with Molly is even last year when she quote unquote struggled offensively, she didn't force anything. She plays, even though she was a high scorer at Central Michigan, she does not force the issue offensively, but she's efficient. I mean, you think of a guard her size, and I'm sure that's been a knock on her entire life. And she's probably, I'm guessing she's prided herself on being efficient from the field and making the makeables and not forcing things, because when you force things and you're undersized, you're either going to get stuffed or you're going to, cause turnovers, whatever the case may be. She does not do that. In fact, on the night, she handles the ball a decent amount, just one turnover on the night, couple assists, and then again, the 10 points on 4 of 6 shooting. So I agree with you. Took her a little bit of time. I think Robracha, given the position he played and the need they had, maybe acclimated himself a little bit better, at least defensively early. Molly's never going to be a great defender.
But it's like opposite. Like I feel like Roberto was a better defender coming in, anyways. I feel like she's a better offensive, and it kind of just took them both time on both sides. But like I agree with your tweet. It said Taylor McCabe should have played against Kansas State. I don't understand why she didn't, because you see what she did tonight, quick, where she can get, if she gets open shot, she has a chance to hit. I think she only hit like 2 threes, but still, it's something you could use in a game like that, especially because you know how much one of those could spark you.
They made 13 threes tonight, James, and against Kansas State the other day, they scored 58 points, and as a team, they made just 2 threes.
Oh, 2 threes, yeah. And Taylor, I think, is one of the better three-point shooters on the team. Obviously not Caitlin Clark, but I think she's like one of the better three-point shooters on the team. So I don't know why she didn't play.
I don't know. And let me say this. This is an incredible stat, and I know this is, a lot of people who don't know about state of Iowa basketball and Missouri Valley Conference basketball, they'll look at this and say, well, of course you put up 113 on the Missouri Valley Conference team. Iowa's played probably the 2 best Missouri Valley Conference teams out there, and they've beaten both decidedly. And again, this Drake team actually took the Hawks to overtime down in the Knapp Center a year ago.
They beat Iowa State, too.
They beat Iowa State, and Iowa didn't have any issues tonight. I mean, it was a back-and-forth game early defensively. I didn't think Iowa was very good throughout, but just the offensive efficiency, you can obviously tell whatever adjustments were made in the last couple of days, certainly getting in transition was an emphasis. You could tell that early. Got a layup right off the tip, actually, by Molly Davis on the first possession, first play of the game. So credit to Lisa Bluter and this staff. This team has been struggling from 3 all year, which is not something we expected, although the players that they returned, Kate Martin, Gabby Marshall, those players have kind of had a reputation of being maybe a little bit streaky, whereas someone like McKenna Warnock was maybe a little bit more of your steady Eddie type of player. Hannah Stolke has made some threes, but clearly is still not tremendously comfortable. That's just not her game. And so
then obviously fear about coming off the whole year injury. That's kind of tough to come off a whole year injury, not playing for a whole year. She played well tonight, but I feel like,
I like her a lot.
She put up tonight, but it's hard to come off an injury for a full year and then try to like step right back in and be the same person you were a year ago when you didn't play the whole year. But I feel like obviously 90 points is kind of something that does stick out to you. I know they won, and you don't want to nitpick, but you also know that like you're not going to shoot this well all the time. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to put up.
Yeah, I get that.
You're not going to get this performance from like Kate Martin every game. So you kind of have to.
Well, James, you know as well as I do that I have no problem criticizing Iowa basketball for defense, whether we're talking about the men or the women. However, I have been probably influenced a little bit by watching my Dallas Mavericks this year and how they win games, and they're actually losing tonight to the Kings, last I checked. But my point is, the game of basketball, especially the pro level, has changed so much, but it's also evolved at the college level to where, you're winning by 15, 20, even 25 points.
Sometimes you get lax days of Cory.
Well, it's just at that point, James, as a spectator or as an analyst, I'm not going to really read too much into the defensive performance because he still won by 23. Do I think this would have given up 90 if they had to hold them to less than 90? Probably not.
Probably not. You're right. Probably not.
But you're right. I mean, early on, those first 4 minutes. I wrote something down here. Drake had. Let me find the numbers. It was something ridiculous there early. They had 14 points, Drake did, in 3.5 minutes, and they were all layups. In the first 3.5 minutes of the game, Drake put up 14 points. That is insane. That's on pace for, I know you can't play this game, but think about that. 3.5 minutes, that's basically a third of a quarter. So if you times that by 12, which would be, am I right in saying that? 14 points, 12, that's 168 points.
Yeah.
They were on pace for 168 points first 3.5 minutes. Now, of course, they weren't going to keep that going, but the defense was a sieve those first few minutes, specifically the interior of that defense. And give Drake credit. They found the passing lanes. They seem to be fundamentally sound, especially with getting posted up inside. So, Iowa cleaned some things up, but overall, just a runaway offensively.
Now, who are they getting in the first round tournament? Was it North Florida?
They're getting Purdue Fort Wayne.
Oh, Purdue Fort Wayne. Okay, they kind of look like they have the same logo, kind of. So I got confused a little bit, but
are you looking for James? Are you going to buy Flow Hoops?
I'm not buying that. I'll keep track of it.
Whoa! You're not buying Flow Hoops?
I'm not buying it for 3 games. I'm not paying $20 for 3 games.
Why you're not doing that?
Because I don't even know if I have. What day is it? Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday through what is it? Thursday through
Saturday. Family stuff going on Thursday. I'll be out on Friday, but.
All right. You do you, brother.
I still keep track of it, but I feel like in general it's a good way to like start that off. Like you're not coming off a loss trying to go into that tournament. You're always coming off a win going into that tournament. Because I know a lot of times you come off a loss going to tournament, you might be a little down. But I'm happy the way they bounced back and they played well, and I think that's all you can ask for, especially against both you and I and Drake, because as you said, they struggled against Drake last year and barely won. So
they did, yeah. I don't know anything about Purdue Fort Wayne. Have not scouted them yet. I'll take a look at them before the game on Thursday. But they do have an opportunity, as you brought up the other day. They have an opportunity to potentially play Kansas State again. North Carolina's in the draw, so they could get an opportunity, at least 1 or 2 solid wins.
You think if they get Kansas State again, I would like to see them get Kansas State again, just because I think they could lose again, but I also feel like it kind of be like them playing mad. You know what I mean? They might play with more aggression, might play a little bit more mad because they lost that game, if that makes sense.
Well, they've lost 2 games to them now.
Yeah.
They've lost the last 2 to them.
Yeah.
I made the comment the other night after they lost to Kansas State. I said, I don't want to see that team again.
North Carolina's good too, aren't they?
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know where that. I'm just talking from a matchup perspective. From a matchup perspective, I think Iowa matches up very poorly with Kansas State. You just look at how they bullied Iowa down low, especially with Lee inside. I think that's a bad matchup for Iowa. Now, the competitor in me, and I'm sure the competitor in them as the players and coaches of this team, they want to see Kansas State again, believe me. Now, it's not quite like with football. Like there was a time when we were talking about Iowa football earlier in the year, and after they got killed by Penn State, you're thinking, hey, if you can get another shot at them in the championship game and you're 11-1 and you beat them and you're 12-1, the committee has to put you in because you made up for the loss back in September. The college basketball season is way too long, so the committee's not going to be looking at a revenge game and saying, well, they made up for it. It's still a loss they had in November, but it would certainly give this team confidence, and I think they'd be ready for that game. My guess is there will be more Iowa fans that travel down to Florida than Kansas natives.
Probably. I
So
mean, there's probably more Iowa natives that live in Florida during the winter than there is Kansas natives to begin with. You know, a lot of Iowa people migrate down there. So
give the Wildcats credit; they came to Carver and won the other night. So
yeah,
I cannot imagine a scenario in which Iowa shoots as poorly as they did the other night. And I talked about stat lines. Caitlin Clark took 32 shots the other day, and I was a little bit critical of her and the game plan, the coaching. The stat line looks, and again, score 113 points. It's hard to be upset about anything with the box score offensively, but you just look at the balance in shot taking. Caitlin had 22 shot attempts. To me, that's probably the magic number, right
and
around 22, 23 shot attempts. That's what you want.
My bad.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was gonna say she took a lot more smart shots. I feel like against Kansas State, it seemed like she was trying to force it. You know, a lot more, especially when she started struggling early. This time, she took a lot more smart shots, a lot more shots that were in her range, a lot more shots that she knows she can. And she seemed more confident today than she did against Kansas State. Because once she started missing a few, she just kind of started like trying to score, if that makes sense. So she was trying to force a lot of shots, and that could also put us in a bad spot. But today she didn't, and you see how it worked.
Yeah, and again, part of that is when you have people like Kate Martin catch on, and you have Molly Davis shooting. When Molly Davis shot well the other night as well, but she's just not real aggressive. Sydney Falter, I thought, played well tonight. Sharon Goodman found her spots due to some really good passing from people like Kate Martin and Caitlin Clark. But I think Kate Martin scoring 25 on 12 attempts, 10 of 12 from the field, is a game changer potentially for this team. You know, you can get 12 shot attempts out of someone like Kate Martin, who is more of a pass first guard. That's a positive. And again, they're doing this. They did this tonight without anything from Gabby Marshall. Gabby Marshall scored 0 points again.
She also, I don't know, she just hasn't seemed to be in shooting as much lately. I mean, she shot, what, 3 times today?
Yeah, 0 for 3. I mean,
yeah.
She's not making anything, but she's also, you're right, she's not shooting a lot. But she's kind of like Kate Martin. Kate Martin wasn't shooting a lot before tonight, but once you see a couple go in, you know, you can start running some stuff for her, and she's more likely to take a few maybe more tightly contested shots. But they're going to need her. We keep saying that they're going to need Gabby Marshall and Kate Martin.
They're gonna need a lot of people, obviously Caitlin, but like other than the Caitlin as well. But it'll be interesting to see. It's an interesting week for us. Obviously, Oklahoma on the men's side, Purdue for Wayne on the women's side, and you get the big Nebraska game on Friday. So it'll be an interesting week to see how we do. And I didn't get a call in last night because I was busy, but happy we got the win against Illinois. Even though they make you sweat it out to the last second, but you know that's how it always is. So
can't expect anything different with Iowa athletics, specifically Iowa football. So
for sure. All right, enjoy your night.
Thank you, James. Appreciate the call, sir. Again, we're talking Iowa, the 113-90 defeat over the Drake Bulldogs. Women's hoops back on track after the loss to Kansas State. We're going to get to our next couple of callers. The number, if you are just joining us, to call in. If you want to call by telephone, the number is 515-635-1601. That's 515-635-1601. I also threw the link to StreamYard to join via StreamYard, either just video, or excuse me, just audio or video as well. You can join by means of that link. But again, the phone number is up on your screen. Do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. We'll start real quick with RTI Threads. I've been talking about them throughout the college football season, but they're with us for basketball as well. Shop RTI Threads, specifically Cooper DeJean's apparel line. You can check out his merch store at cd3lacesup.com. That's www.cd3lacesup.com. I once again have the Cooper DeJean CD3 signed jersey here, or I shouldn't say jersey, sweatshirt, but they've got so many options with the CD3 logo. Again, cd3lacesup.com, but also shop Aaron Graves, Carson Shire, Aiden Hall, Zach Lutmer, much more coming courtesy of NIL partner RTI Threads. And our partner, RTI Threads, visit www.rtithreads.com. Also want to give a special shout out to Iowa Smokehouse. I mentioned them at the outset. They are sponsoring our call line and our show this evening as a whole. Tasting is believing with their awesome beef jerky, their meat sticks, their barbecue sauces, and much, much more. They're a local company. They're an Iowa company. Tasting is believing with this awesome snacking company that, by the way, they have all their products are available in grocery stores and convenience stores, whatever, but you can get a special deal by visiting them online and ordering via our code. The code is Hawkeyes. We've been touting this code for a while, but you still got an opportunity to get 15% off your order. Use the code Hawkeyes at iowasmokehouse.com, and you'll get free shipping on any order of $50 or more, courtesy of Iowa Smokehouse. And Brad Van Meter and his team at State Farm, whether we're talking auto insurance, home insurance, business, life insurance, they spend countless hours taking care of their customers and reviewing coverages. They've got 3 fully licensed team members to help you navigate through the complex world that is insurance. Give Brad and his team a call at 515-256-6480 or visit them online at bradvanmeter.com. And don't forget, folks, Caitlin Clark is now part of the State Farm team as well. Recently announced that she has signed a deal with State Farm. So, again, great way to support Iowa women's basketball, this show, people like Caitlin Clark. Visit bradvanmeter.com or call 515-256-6480. We go back to our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line now. We've got Cory on hold. Cory, welcome to the show.
I'm back, baby. I'm back.
You are back. Where's the puppy?
I don't got a puppy yet. I got a cat, though. He's chilling off screen. But...
Well, it's good to see you, sir.
Yeah. No, I was winding back watching the game today, and I can't help but notice that I think we need to work on our rebounding. Just getting out-rebounded by Drake just seems concerning a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you want to read between the lines of a 23-point win. That's probably where you start.
That's kind of what that's what I noticed.
I mean, I'm still going to read in between the lines and say, hey, 13 turnovers is too many. But I would just play so fast, and that's one thing. Say what you want about Fran McCaffrey's teams, and I know they haven't had success in March, and they don't play great defense. It's amazing how fast they can play and not turn the ball over, regardless of who's handling the ball, whether it's Josh Dix or Tony Perkins, or in the past it was Jordan Bohannon or even Joe Toussaint. Iowa does not. I mean, like the men, I don't think they've had a game of double-digit turnovers. I don't think the women have had a game of single-digit turnovers all year. And yet, this is as of right now, they won't be tomorrow, but they're the number 2 team in the country. So, definitely rebounding could come into play. They found a way to beat South Carolina last March without great rebounding.
Because I think rebounding will be. I think the rebounding is the difference between this team being a great team and this team being middle of the road. Like, I think that's what it could come down to late March.
I don't think Hannah Stolke played all that well tonight. I don't have her.
No, I think she had like 5. So I had the stats pulled up, but I thought she had like 5 points, and I'm just or something. Yeah, maybe even.
I'm guessing part of that was because Goodman came in and she was kind of cooking, but Stolke only had 13 minutes in the game. So
yeah, they need more minutes from her, and they need quality minutes from her.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Hannah. I don't know if
she seems off. She seems like she's not, and maybe she'll come back into it as the year goes on. Which I assume she
some
would.
Rumors about some a flu bug going around the Iowa athletic department. I don't know if that's stretched into football and basketball, but this is that time of year where players maybe are fighting off some illnesses. But that's just part of it as well. She'll have better days, and I think she's going to help them on the glass. And Sydney Falter has been really good on the glass. And tonight,
I think was it a Falter and how do you say it? Feuerbach? Is that how you say it?
Feuerbach.
I think those two need more minutes, to be quite honest.
Well, Feuerbach.
I think they bring the defensive gusto that the team really needs.
They need more rebounding out of Sharon Goodman. They need more rebounding out of Addison O'Grady when those bigs are on the floor. Yeah, and. Losing Monica Sonano hurt, obviously, offensively, but it's just going to hurt you in rebounding as well because she was on the floor more than any other big. So it was good to see Caitlin kind of stack the stat sheet at 10 assists, and she added the 6 rebounds. Actually led the team. That's what's crazy. She led the team in points, assists, and rebounds tonight. That's not a stat you necessarily want. I mean, ideally, you're going to have Hannah Stolke nabbing 8 to 10 boards a game, but she's not going to do it in 13 minutes. So hopefully that evens out.
No, I think at the end of the day, I think in that Kansas State game, I think they just forgot to have fun. They forgot. You could just see it tonight that they were just, I don't know. And even in the big pressure games, I know it's a Kansas State team that's, rather good. I don't think they're a terrible team.
Oh, they're not a terrible team. No.
No. And I just think, I think it got to their heads a little bit that last game, but they bounced back, and I still think they're in for a good year, though. I think they'll be fine.
Oh, sure, they're in for a good year.
They just gotta have fun. They gotta remember to have fun.
Very true.
Be competitive, and have fun.
There's still a lot of question marks about how good of a year, and some of those questions just frankly will not be answered until March.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, exactly.
Now look at Purdue, the men last year. Purdue, clearly the best team in the Big Ten last year, and they go into the NCAA tournament and lose to Farley Dickinson. So the tournament is crazy, and that's what's great about the journey and the destination. But sometimes we overlook the journey. So, dominating 2 teams from the Missouri Valley, 2 in-state rivals, you'll take that any day of the week. They got to win over a top 10 Virginia Tech team, and then 1 slip up against Kansas State. I'll have potentially a chance to take that back this next week.
No, I think they'll be perfectly fine. And Hawks by a million or Hawks by 23, either way, I'll take it.
There you go, sir. I appreciate the call, Corey.
Absolutely. You have a good one, Corey.
You too. Always appreciate fellow Corys in the world, especially spelled the right way. Cory. Told him that last night. All right, let's go back to our stats here for a second. I want to throw these up on the bottom ticker in case you have not looked at the box score for the evening. I mentioned Caitlin Clark, the efficiency for Clark tonight. This is exactly what you want to see. Let me find the numbers. Okay, these are. We're going to update these numbers. We'll be right back with those numbers. Let's get to our next caller. We've got Ryan on the line. Ryan, welcome to the show. Appreciate you calling our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line.
Hey, Corey. How are you, man?
Doing good. How are you, sir?
Made it back safe.
You seem a little bit happy.
Made it back safe and sound from the bar. To the bar from Iowa City last night.
You just got back from the bar? Is that what you said?
Made it safe to the bar.
Oh, from the bar and to the bar, or you're just
from Iowa City last night? I watched us go to Indianapolis, I guess.
Well, yes, they are going to Indianapolis. That did happen. Yep.
So tonight, it was a fantastic evening. Caitlin played beautiful. She played Caitlin ball. Kate Martin was fantastic. I guess I'm asking you, is it time to maybe make Gabby the defensive specialist off the bench? You plug in Sharon Goodman at the 5, Hannah at the 4, Kate and Caitlin, obviously, and kind of go with the new starting lineup. What are your thoughts on that?
No. My thoughts are no.
Stay with Gabby?
Well, first of all, Sharon Goodman hasn't proven much of anything to me, minus one really good night tonight. I still think she's been a liability at times on the defensive end, and she's been somewhat turnover prone. Sometimes her footwork is not the best. And I think what Gabby gives you as far as tenacity on the defensive end, I've been critical of her defense in past years, but she's gotten better as her career has went on. I don't know that benching her is a solution right now. She's a super senior. She's struggling from the field, but she struggled from the field part of last year as well during the regular season, got it going when she needed to. I just think this is probably what the coaching staff, maybe they didn't expect her to be struggling through 4 or 5 games, but this is who she is. She's a streaky shooter. And, hopefully one of these days she has a breakout performance. Kate Martin was struggling before tonight, and she went 10 of 12 on the night. And for the day, Kate made 3 threes. So, she's got maybe some different ball handling skills that Gabby doesn't as far as being able to dribble, drive, etc. But I do think that Gabby will have a coming out performance at some point. You'd have to think.
So do you like tonight's starting lineup as kind of our going forward lineup for the foreseeable future?
I don't even know who the starting lineup was. Was it, let's see, Hannah?
Molly Davis, Caitlin, yep. Gabby, Hannah, and geez.
Well, I'll be frank. I don't know that I like
Kate.
switching. starting lineup. Kate, I don't know that I love switching up the starting lineup as much as Lisa Bluter has. Now, maybe there's a real reason for that. I'm sure there's a reason, but like a tangible reason that we're just not aware of other than just simply trying different things and mixing it up. You know, I am kind of used to Fran McCaffrey being very tight with what he does with his starting lineup. And I know Gary Close has come on the show a number of times and said, you know, it really doesn't matter as much as we make it out to. What's more important is how many minutes these guys or girls are getting. So, I mean, I'd probably take that lineup. I was a little bit surprised when I go back and look at the stat sheet that Hannah Stuelke ended up with just 4 points and played 13 minutes. It just was a Sharon Goodman night, I guess. Frankly, Addison O'Grady nearly played as many minutes as Stuelke. She had 10 minutes on the night and scored as many points. Had 4 points along with 3 rebounds, 3 assists. So,
why was Hannah played so little?
I don't know. I don't know if that was simply a result of matchups. You know, Drake is not particularly big. So, you know, I'm guessing maybe Lisa thought, hey, we can, you know, kind of take advantage of the size of Sharon and take advantage of the size of Addison. I mean, Grace Berg is 6 foot. I think is she the tallest player on the team? How big is Becker? Becker is, that's not who I want here. Yeah, Becker is, she's 6 foot as well. And I mean, they just don't have much size. And they've got skill. They just don't have a ton of size. I guess Anna Miller would be their tallest. She's 6'3", but they're just not, they're not big like Kansas State was big on Thursday. And I wonder if part of I don't know that I would necessarily assume that that's a confidence issue for Stuelke or something she's not doing. But I'm guessing that they wanted to maybe get Sharon and Addison some extra run and kind of build their confidence, because there are going to be games like we saw against Kansas State on Thursday, where they're going to need those bigger bigs down low, those true fives, and they're going to have to play well. So you might as well build confidence in a potential confidence building game like tonight.
Yeah, tonight kind of showed me that Drake's a good team. You know, they really are. And we can start to develop a 10-person rotation. You know, if you look at tonight, Kate's your number 2 for sure. But who is the number 2? I still think it's Hannah. And then maybe as the season rolls on, Sharon and Sydney start to emerge. It was great to see Taylor McCabe do what she does. I think there's a role for all of them. And I want to figure it out quickly so that we can start defining roles.
Can I just say this real quick? And I, you know, maybe I'm just being convenient with this stat, but you want to take a guess real quick? Who had the best plus minus on the team for Iowa?
Kate Martin.
It was actually Sydney Falter.
Really?
Sydney Falter was plus 28 tonight.
Wow.
That was better than Caitlin Clark, who was plus 25. Sharon Goodman was plus 21. Kate Martin was plus 12. My point is that stat can sometimes be, we read into that a little bit too much. It doesn't mean as much. But I actually think Sydney Falter is playing really good basketball right now. She's playing efficient. She's improved in the offensive end. She's slashing. She's reliable around the rim. She's not forcing threes. Once she starts hitting threes, then you're going to get something. And she might be Iowa's most consistent rebounder. Now, keep in mind, she's a guard, and she's been rebounding. I don't know how she's averaging on the year. She had 4 tonight, 5 points, 4 assists, 4 boards, plus 28, 2 of 3 from the field in 21 minutes. I'll take those numbers from Sydney Falter. And let me see here. Yeah, yes, zero turnovers for number 3. I really like what she's done in the offseason. She might be Iowa's most improved player.
And you know what all of this speaks to is the fact that I think we have the depth. I mean, we're not even into December yet. We got the depth to figure out what's our optimal rotation and who are the people that you need to step up off the bench, 9, 10 people. And I really like I like where this team might just end up. I really do. we showed that we can go pretty far last year. We had the third all-time leading scorer in women's history on the team last year. We lose her as well as Warnock, who is fantastic. But I'll tell you what, I think this team has some depth, and this team has the ingredients to go very, very far. Let's see how far it can go. We got the Michael Jordan of women's basketball on our team. Let's not forget that.
Ryan, what kind of crap comment is this? How can anyone be a Mavs fan? Gross. What are you doing, man?
That's not me. I don't know
what do you
who
think you're doing. Wait, by the way, Joe.
Ryan's a common name, Corey. I don't know who that guy is.
Joe says this guy calls in every time. Is he on the payroll? I don't know if he's talking about you or James. Are you on the payroll? Have I added you to the payroll yet? Because my people were trying to get your information and we couldn't.
It depends if
you submit a W-9 and we'll get you on the payroll.
Well, yes and no, Corey. Yes and no. I throw a little money your way, and you tell me if I buy a certain amount of Iowa Smokehouse, I'll get a discount, and that's a direct payroll. I got like a
tax-free. Hey, tax-free, Ryan.
Tax-free.
Yep.
Hey, all kidding aside, Corey, there's a reason you're the best in the business. You're a young guy. You're not even 30 yet. You're the best in the business. You got the respect of Don Patterson. You got the respect of Gary Close and Tom Kakert, many others. You're the best in the business, and there's a reason people kind of gravitate towards you. That's just fact. That's fact.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Basketball-wise, though, I think we're going to be fine. I think the Kansas State loss was probably a good thing in the long run. Check yourself. Let's define roles. And we got the talent to do whatever. We don't have to suspend Caitlin Clark unlike the Bayou Barbie. So, hey, sky's the limit, Hawkeyes. Let's go there. Let's do this. We'll see each other in Indianapolis in the meantime. And, let's pray that God has pity on us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate the phone call. T. Hink in the chat says Taylor McCabe needs more minutes. Well, she was 2 of 2 tonight, I believe. I don't think she missed a shot. 2 of 3. 2 of 3. She was 2 of 3. So she made her first 2, missed 1 at just over 11 minutes. So she certainly needs more than 0 minutes. It was what she got the other night when Iowa made 2 threes. That was a little bit odd. I don't know if she's dealing with something. There have been some interesting rotational things going on with this team since the beginning. And I go back to the Addison O'Grady situation where she starts against DePaul in that exhibition. Then it's Goodman. Then no Goodman. It's Stolke. Like, you're obviously toying with the lineup if you're Lisa Bluter and company. But then, yeah, Taylor McCabe not playing in a game where Iowa couldn't buy a 3. A little bit strange. But again, Hannah Stolke tonight was kind of off. Was that more of a minutes thing, or were the minutes thing a result of her being off? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. But yeah, I think Taylor McCabe playing on she's going to need more minutes as the season goes on as well because of her ability to make outside shots. And hopefully she can be less of a streaky shooter than what a Gabby Marshall or even a Kate Martin, what both of those ladies have been, because Taylor McCabe was Miss Nebraska a couple of years back and one of the better three-point shooters to ever come out of that state. So hopefully she can start being a regular part of the rotation. But again, 11 solid minutes for her tonight. And Kylie Feuerbach, RC on the Aces, brings up Kylie Feuerbach. Just really solid. Her confidence is growing, especially as she continues to come back from that injury. That takes time. A serious knee injury coming off that. It's going to take some time for her to build the confidence back, comfortability with that knee, etc. So I was really impressed with a number of Iowa players this evening, specifically Kate Martin. Caitlin Clark, of course, was back to her old self, along with Sydney Falter, Kylie Feuerbach, and certainly Sharon Goodman as well. Let's go back to our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line. We've got our friend Kyle here. Kyle, welcome.
How are we doing tonight, Cory?
Doing good, man. What'd you think of the bounce back performance for Caitlin, I think you probably share my sentiment that she's much better off shooting 21, 22, 23 shots. And when you can get those, I'm all for triple doubles because it's an indication that she's sharing the ball and other people are scoring.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought she got off to a little bit of a frenetic start, kind of similar to the Kansas State game. She took 9 shots in the first quarter. I thought 3 or 4 of those were sort of not great shot selection, but after that, she really settled in and got more. I mean, she got 3 or 4 3-point shots today that were standstill threes, and I think that's the first time we've seen that in a while. A lot of her threes have had to been off the dribble or off a screen or whatever. And there was a couple times where she let other players go to work dribbling the ball, and she found herself in a catch and shoot situation. I think as good of a shooter as she is, every shooter pretty much is better catch and shoot. I really liked what Goodman did tonight. I'm not really too worried about Stolke getting 13 minutes and whatnot. I think she'll be fine. I think the only reason that played out the way it did was because Goodman came in and gave him really good minutes. And that's good to see. And Kate Martin bounced back the way a upperclassman and an experienced leader should. I think, she looked so complete tonight, so put together. And again, like you said, I don't know if that's something that they can count on every night, but she certainly continues to prove that on her good nights, she could absolutely turn a tournament game in March just by her play. Even if Caitlin's having a good game, she could be the difference maker in those type of games.
Yeah, the Hannah Stolke situation is maybe my biggest question coming out of this game. It seems like every game I have something else where I'm like, what's with this? First couple games I go back to the O'Grady situation, and then it was kind of the Gabby Marshall situation. That really hasn't been resolved. I had some question marks about Kate Martin, certainly with her performance this evening. Some of those have been answered, and you kind of expected the seniors to come around, but I expect Hannah Stolke to, snap out of whatever. She's been a little quiet, and I think maybe that Thursday game against Kansas State, maybe that had a little bit of an effect on her confidence-wise, because she was bullied a bit by Lee inside.
Oh, absolutely.
Physically.
Yeah, she was, it was a game where she had to play a lot of minutes against big physical centers. She was worn down a lot in that game.
She has not been forced to play that way since she got here. Keep in mind, she's played alongside Monica Sonano, and even in that exhibition game, that was a Power 5 team. Now, they played against a big in Virginia Tech it was a Kitley, who's long and can score, but she doesn't have the girth of a Lee at Kansas State. She's not had much experience being a true 5, and she didn't pass the test, but, it's early, and, physically, she's still got some work to go. I think getting Goodman and O'Grady minutes and getting them confidence in a game like this where they match up favorably could pay big dividends down the road, where you are able to play Hannah and a Goodman, or Hannah and an O'Grady on the floor at the same time. I think that's the ideal. I just don't know that Lisa Bluter, Jan Jensen, and company have been comfortable enough, and that's why you've seen them kind of mixing things up. They start O'Grady, they start Goodman, and they just start Stolke. Ideally, I'm sure they'd like to have Stolke at the 4.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially with her ability to stretch the floor.
Yeah. And she's got the more physical tools than Goodman or O'Grady have in terms of her speed and what she can do skill wise. But yeah, I think that's totally on point. Hannah's role last year really was to come in and spell for Monica, and to come in and be that energy girl, to run the floor hard, rebound hard. She's not somebody last year that was expected to be kind of banging with the big centers night in, night out. And, that's an adjustment for her, as it would be for anybody. So I know you touched on the Gabby Marshall situation. She played 23 minutes tonight. You mentioned she went 0 of 3. She gave you 1 rebound, 2 assists, 1 steal, no points. I don't disagree that she should be kept in the starting lineup. But I think if this continues for another 5 games the way that it has, at some point Kylie Fairbach comes in and gives you energy. A Falter comes in and gives you energy. At some point, if Gabby comes in and she gives you no points, but she gives you a couple rebounds, a couple assists, that's one thing. But she comes in and she doesn't shoot. I mean, 2 assists is whatever. 1 rebound, not much. 1 steal is fine. But, you know, if what she's doing is she's, you know, causing the opponent to miss 1 or 2 shots more over the course of a game than somebody else, at some point that can't be enough to keep 23, 25, 27 minutes a game, right?
I think you're right. And I kind of shot down that notion from Ryan earlier because he brought up, well, is it time to put Goodman in for Marshall?
No, yeah.
That's
not the replacement I would make. I would like to see Fairbach or a Falter go in for.
Now, you could make the argument, Kyle, that down the road, you can play those 2 bigs. I said that a second ago. Maybe you play Goodman alongside Stolke, but you're right. I mean, now we talked about this, I think it was yesterday, the day before. Gabby Marshall, she had 1 game where she made, I believe, 5 threes. Am I correct in saying that she made 5 threes against UNI?
Yeah.
The other games, Farley Dickens, she went 0 for 3 from the field. Virginia Tech, she went 0 for 6. Kansas State, she went 1 for 4. Today, she goes 0 for 3. Let's all add that all up. Before today, in those 3 of the first 4 games, she was shooting 7.7% from the field. You're probably a better math whiz than me. I'm going to go ahead and add this up on my calculator here.
Okay.
1 of 16 is good for 6.3%. So she's shooting 6.3% from the field if you throw out the UNI game. And I know you can't really do that, but that UNI game is 1 out of 5.
And this was, what we're seeing is, as good as she was in the tournament at times last year, this is not an anomaly. Gabby Marshall is a streaky shooter. I mean, she had, like, I think we went through it before, but she had a period of time where she didn't score in double figures for like 15 to 20 straight games. And so, I don't know. I'm tentative to remove her from the starting 5 just because of her kind of role on the team. But keep in mind, Peyton Sandford last year was brought off the bench several times after he had his poor shooting streak, and he finished the year a lot better than he started it. So I don't necessarily think pulling her from the starting lineup for 5 games is a death sentence for her season. I think it just depends on the dynamics of the team, because obviously Peyton wasn't a super senior at the time. He was a sophomore. But I don't know. I don't think that would be an awful thing to do, especially in non-conference play.
Yeah, you're probably right. I will say this, the one thing that Peyton gives you, and I don't know, he's improved rebounding wise from a year ago, but he does have length. And Gabby, when she's in there and she's not making threes, we've talked about it. I know there's a perception out there that she's this elite defender. She's one of their better defenders because she's willing to move her feet and defend. But I think part of that is Iowa doesn't have very many good defenders. They're just not a individually focused defensive team. They give up 90 tonight. Which again, you're live with that all day as long as you're scoring 100 plus. But she's a good defender. She's not a great defender. I'm just calling it like I see it. She's a good defender. But
even if she is a good defender, by the way, like, because I'm a numbers guy. Like, I love listening to Coach Don talk about his analytics. But we do some simple math here, right? If Gabby Marshall is a good enough defender, say tonight, I don't know what Drake shot from the field. Say it was 50%. Say Gabby's good enough to hold her player that she's guarding to 40%, which I think we would all say is pretty good, right? If she took 10% off of somebody's shooting average and that person takes 10 shots over the course of the game, if you take 10% away, that's 1 more made shot. That's a 2-point difference on defense. And I know it's not that simple, but like, her being a good defender is maybe making a 2 to 3 point difference over the course of a game compared to Fairbach or a Falter or somebody else. Like, it's not making up for having 0 points and 2 assists and 1 rebound, even if it's true.
I brought up the plus minus stat earlier. I talked about Sydney Falter. She was plus 28 on the day. Put that in perspective, Kylie Feuerbach was plus 10. Molly Davis was plus 9. Taylor McCabe plus 7. Gabby Marshall was plus 12. Now, you could make the argument that part of the reason is because she's getting more time with Caitlin Clark on the floor. But I don't know if that's true. I mean, I'm not looking at simultaneous stats here and looking at those numbers, breaking those down. But I mean, what you just talked about, I don't know, like you said, I don't know if you can really break it down in percentages and what percentage less she's holding a certain player offensively to. But Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I mean, if the bottom line is regardless of what Gabby Marshall is doing, Sydney Falter, the way she's playing and the way Kyla Feuerbach is playing, as they're rounding into form, they are already playing close to as many minutes as Gabby. Gabby had 22, about 23 minutes tonight. Sydney had 21 minutes. Feuerbach had 19 minutes. So one could argue, does it really matter? I mean, Lisa has proven that she thinks it matters. The starting lineup matters because she's mixed the lineup up, right? She's mixed it. They would have no reason to mix it up unless she thought it actually made a difference. Fran at times maybe doesn't mix the lineup very much, but Aaron Eulis, there were times last year where he'd start and then he sees less minutes than DeSante Bowen or Josh Dix. So
exactly. Who starts the game is not as big as people make it out to be.
Yeah, but these numbers, I mean, what we're seeing on the screen here, 1 of 16 combined in 4 of 5 games is a concern. No one's ripping Gabby Marshall. We love Gabby Marshall, but that is a concern. She's aware of these numbers more than anybody. And what I want her to do is to continue to be herself and shoot. And she's not somebody who can force shots because she's typically a little bit undersized. But
I'd love to see them. I'd love to see them run something for her early in a game and see if she can get it going early. And if she can't, give a Falter and Feuerbach more run. And if she gets it going, then great, keep her in the game.
Yeah, and keep in mind, a lot of what she got going in March last year was off of dribble penetration from Caitlin Clark. And so Caitlin, I mean, she played a lot better tonight. Didn't play well against Kansas State. As their work in the post gets more and more fluid. We haven't seen the best out of Hannah Stolke yet. Goodman and O'Grady looked better tonight. Hopefully, post play will continue to improve. It's just not going to be what it was last year with Monica Sonano, but hopefully it can improve to a point where it opens more up for dribble penetration for Caitlin. She's already doing well drawing fouls and getting in the lane, but that will in turn open up more shots for people like Kate Martin and Gabby Marshall.
Yeah, absolutely. What is that? So what is that closing 5 that you would go with right now if you were at the end of a game, like say the Kansas State game? What's the 5 that you would trust the most at the end of the game on the floor right
now? That's a hard question, just simply because I think it depends largely on matchups against Kansas State. You probably have to go with Goodman or O'Grady, but my best lineup still features Hannah Stolke, who I think is probably the second best player on this team behind Caitlin Clark. But I do think this team is going to be somewhat, I don't want to say pinned down, but they're going to be affected by matchups maybe more than last year because they're just going to have less flexibility. Yeah. So, I mean, certainly, regardless of opponent, Caitlin Clark, I want Kate Martin in there for her leadership, her ability to make threes, her defense. I think Molly Davis deserves to be in there right now. And as far as the last player, yeah, I mean, Stolke, I mean, I think the starting lineup right now is pretty solid, with the exception you could argue maybe you put in a Falter for Marshall down the stretch. Certainly, I think down the stretch of a game where you're needing, maybe second chance opportunities or you're not, maybe they're making it hard to actually get 3-point shots down. Sydney Falter is someone who can probably give you more of those gritty buckets inside, or Kylie Feuerbach, I think, is maybe a little bit more well-rounded with her offensive game. So I would say the starting lineup, I'm pretty happy with how Molly Davis is playing right now. The Gabby Marshall, maybe a Falter or Feuerbach storyline is one to follow.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Molly Davis when she's aggressive too, because she's a good passer, but I think she's got a good handle. I think she's really good at getting to her spots on the floor and getting the shots that she wants when she's looking for a shot.
And here's our answer. T. Hink says that Lisa apparently just said that Hannah is battling a minor knee injury. So if that's the case, then, that explains 13 minutes and maybe even her struggling. I don't know if the knee injury occurred against Kansas State or, after Kansas State, but she's better than she played tonight.
Absolutely. And it's, not good to hear that she's dealing with something, but it's not a bad thing to have an explanation on it. And if it's a minor knee injury, hopefully that's something that gets cleared up in the next week or two.
Thomas says, how many of the people making comments in here have ever played basketball at all or at the high level these players are? Now this guy thinks he's a coach. Appreciate, as I said yesterday, Kyle, the $0 super chat from Thomas. I don't think he's ripping me necessarily. Maybe he is. I don't care.
I think he's coming at me more than you.
Okay. I did ban our LSU troll that was in the chat. So can you believe you've got LSU women's basketball trolls coming over on a Sunday night at 9 p.m. to an Iowa Drake stream? I just find that fascinating.
In the moment that we're in right now. Oh, by the way, can I clear up that? I don't know if you probably already saw it, but just for people that are curious about the quotes that were out there this week about Angel Reese.
Yeah, would you do that, please? Because I wasn't clear on where we are with that.
Yeah, so Angel Reese's mom was on a podcast or something. I don't know exactly what the platform was, but she was talking to another mom of another player, and the mom of the other player made the quote that I said to you, Corey, which was that I think Angel Reese's mom said something about this other player, and the mom came back and said something along the lines of, you would know what grammatical mistakes look like when your kid doesn't even have a 2.0.
These parents were on the same pod. Were they fighting on this?
I don't know if it was a podcast or if it was something that was picked up in person, but it was an interaction on some platform or somewhere between Angel Reese's mom and another player's mom, and the other player's mom was the one that said the quote that has got people thinking that she's suspended for academics.
Well, hasn't it pretty much been widely publicized that she's never had the best of grades?
Yes, that was. I think that was published last year.
Yeah, we've known that for a while. So,
but to see her not, I mean, regardless of how bad we think her grades are, the fact that she didn't play in a game was fairly rattling. Considering
apparently that's Mulkey making the decision.
Mm-hmm.
So Mulkey's making that decision. That tells you something's up, right?
Because there's no, I mean, as far as I'm aware, I don't know if you know any differently, Corey, but there's no mid-season. I mean, usually the eligibility decisions are made at the end of the semester, correct?
That I don't know. You would know better than I would. I mean, you're a former college athlete, so.
Well, I know what it looks like in the NAIA, but the NCAA is a little bit different. The NAIA is if you don't have the grades by the end of the semester, then you miss the entire next semester until you get your grades up. I don't know if there's any kind of checkpoint within the NCAA where they can suspend her mid-season until she gets her grades back up. But
well, I hope the best for her. I don't have anything, I've been outspoken on how I felt about the national championship game and some of the antics there, but I don't wish anything bad on her. I don't wish for her to miss time. If she has not done anything that would eliminate her or disqualify her from playing, I hope she plays. I think she's done a lot for women's basketball. I know her NIL valuation. I keep seeing On3's NIL valuations for women's hoops. It's like so much higher even than Caitlin Clark's. I find that fascinating. Like, how is that possible?
Caitlin Clark at like $750,000. I mean, there's just no way. I'm sorry.
I don't know.
I
don't know who does those valuations or what they're based on, but
yeah, it makes me not want to look at them anymore, frankly.
Real quick, we've got one more caller if you want to hang tight here, Kyle.
Okay.
But before we take this caller, I do want to thank our sponsors. Again, we're talking Iowa's win over Drake 113-90, and I mentioned earlier, maybe I didn't mention this earlier. Did we talk about our RTI Threads player of the game, Kate Martin, with 25 points on 10 of 12 shooting to go along with 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and I did add the 3 turnovers as well. So she'll want to get that assist to turnover ratio up. She's probably going to look back and say, hey, those 3 turnovers were unacceptable. This team does turn the ball over at a higher rate than, say, the men's team that plays at a fast pace. But boy, 113 points, and she was super efficient from the field, and they needed this from her. I mean, Caitlin was great, as she typically always is, nearly a triple-double. In fact, Caitlin Clark, one thing I didn't add in, she had 7 steals. We should probably add that into the stat sheet for Caitlin. 7 steals to go along with 10 assists, 6 rebounds, and 35 points. But Kate Martin, with her 25, big bounce-back performance for her. She is our RTI Threads player of the game. Also want to thank, while we're talking about RTI Threads, we might as well give a shout out again to their apparel line. I'm wearing the CD3 Laces Up merch this evening, folks. Visit cd3lacesup.com and check out Cooper DeJean's apparel. Support that young man. I saw the picture of him kissing the West Trophy yesterday. A great moment for a guy who has had his season cut short tragically. But again, support cd3lacesup.com, our friends over at RTI Threads. And then also RTI Threads has, they have deals with Aaron Graves, Carson Shire, Aiden Hall, Zach Lutmer, a couple of stars of the future. You can count on a lot of those small-town kids emerging once you see guys like Cooper DeJean or even a Jay Higgins moving on. RTIthreads.com to browse all the merch and all the apparel, courtesy of RTI Threads. Let's go back to our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Who's on the line?
Hey, Cory, this is Zach.
Hey, Zach, how are you?
Pretty good. Good win tonight.
A good win. Yeah, absolutely. Against a good team.
Yep. Couple observations that I made from being down at the game. I don't know if it was already mentioned on this. I know Lisa had said that Hannah was dealing with a knee issue. She did actually come out in the second half with her knee wrapped.
Okay. I did not notice that, so that's good information to know. And did she – I'm looking at the official box score. She logged 13 minutes on the day. How many minutes did she have in the second half? Any?
I think it was maybe a couple, and then I think Lisa kind of just took her out.
Look at the numbers.
She hit the floor hard a couple times, I think.
So for the second half, Hannah Stolke had 4 minutes in the second half, and no shot attempts, no rebounds, nothing. Didn't put any stats up besides a personal foul in that second half, and you're right. She must have gotten pulled pretty early. I'm not great about kind of keeping my eye on rotation stuff, but yeah, that's certainly an indication that she's dealing with something nagging with that knee. Hopefully nothing serious.
Yeah, and I think, I forget it was the second quarter or the third quarter, right before the 5-minute mark when Caitlin was subbed out for a Folter. I don't know if it showed it on TV. Caitlin was not happy.
Wait, say that again?
She was pretty ticked off.
What was she ticked off about?
Caitlin had been subbed out, I think, just above the 5-minute mark. I want to say it was the third quarter. And she looked at Lisa like, what are you doing? Kind of frustrated to the end of the bench, kind of gave a harder slap to the trainer. And I think Lisa had to calm her down just a little bit.
What,
I know Caitlin's the kind of girl who doesn't want to go out of the game either.
She wanted a quadruple double or what?
No, I just think she just didn't want to come out in the second quarter for a couple minutes.
Okay.
But I think Lisa, I think, is trying to do what she did with Monica and even Megan. If they have a decent lead and they're running close to that TV timeout, get her out for a couple minutes, give her the time back in.
Yeah, and I've expressed myself.
She used to do with those players.
I've expressed myself in the past. I disagree with some of the stands from Lisa Bluter on triple doubles and all that stuff. Man, we have unbelievable LSU trolls showing up in the. I'm just going to start banning these people. This is incredible. I mean, are they really this passionate of LSU fans? I mean,
did you ever met an LSU basketball women's basketball fan before last year, Cory?
No. No. I mean, people are coming over to it's a Drake, Iowa chat on there's Sunday night football going on, and we've got LSU women's basketball fans making their way over here. Anyways, go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I like the minutes. I mean, obviously Sydney's being Sydney. If she's not leading for 6th player of the year in the Big Ten, I don't know who is. I do agree that as of right now, I would not take Gabby out of the starting lineup. I think she will eventually get out of the funk. She did seem hesitant to shoot tonight. I don't know if it's been in her head, but there were a couple times where she was open and she did not pull the trigger. But I think Lisa depends on her too much for the defensive side, because she has her usually 1 or 2, I call them sneak up steals on inbounds plays a game. And I think Lisa last week said that she's doing her starting lineups, I think, based on matchups more than anything else. Might have been a mistake in the K-State game. I think it would have been better for her to go with a traditional 5. Hannah was overmatched.
Yeah, and Gabby Marshall did have 1 steal off an inbounds pass today, but Caitlin had 7. How did Caitlin have 7 like that? I lost that.
6 in the first half, by the way.
6 in the first half. Okay.
Yeah.
There were a lot, especially in the second quarter. When they drove, there were a lot of Drake was driving through at least 2 or 3 Iowa defenders. They drove down the middle. So I think it was a lot of Sydney getting the deflections and Caitlin getting the benefit.
Yeah.
But
Well,
either way.
Really like Sydney Falter. I think she's, as of right now, she's my most improved player. Molly Davis being a close second. And I don't even know that Molly Davis, it wasn't so much more mental than physical, because she's had it in her to score from different places on the court. But it's taken her some time to adjust to this level, and I think integrate herself with such a ball dominant player in Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, and Lisa has encouraged Molly this year to score more, which we saw. I mean, those floaters that she was putting up against K-State, they all were going in, and I think that's kind of what she's going to bring to the team as well. O'Grady is starting to concern me a little. She missed a couple bunnies again.
So did Sharon. So did Sharon.
Yeah.
They both miss too many shots around the rim. And I know we're used to Monica Sonano, but they miss too many shots around the rim.
Yeah, and I do wish against these teams, and I get Lisa's going with matchups with, Drake is not tall. I think their tallest player is maybe 6'1". I think that would have been a perfect game for Goodman and O'Grady to both just be the 5 and just take advantage of a 3 or 4 inch height advantage. But that's just me.
Yep. I appreciate it, Zach. And are you there? You have season tickets, I assume?
Yes, I do.
Okay, attaboy. Do you live in the area?
Yeah, I live in Cedar Rapids. I had ordered them, I think, the week of the Final Four last year. I put the deposit on, so I got in before the masses.
Well, good for you, and I'm doing my best to make it over to the game at Hilton here in a couple of weeks. But boy, not a hotter ticket in the state.
No, and I don't know how good Iowa. I'm not sure how good Iowa State is this year. I think they lost 6 transfers from last year.
They've been hit, and of course lost to Drake.
Yeah, and Drake's going to put up points on everyone.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Drake wins that conference. Actually, based just on what we saw from you and I and Drake comparatively, I wouldn't be surprised if Drake wins that conference. Right,
and I'd say it's kind of a game that the Iowa girls needed, just because Drake is. I don't want to say their motion offense is, it never stops.
Yeah,
it's a complete test for a team. Illinois will do the same thing. I'm actually not convinced. Maryland has looked not really good this year so far.
Almost lost to Syracuse tonight.
Yeah, so and I haven't seen much of Indiana except for them getting hammered by Stanford, but Stanford's also top 10.
They showed on the broadcast tonight too that 8 of the top 10 teams in the preseason poll have lost already too. So I don't know what that says, but
it's a little more. I know there's a little more parity on the women's side than there is on the men's side, but
yeah,
usually, I think probably by the end of the season, you'll probably have the maybe 5 to 8 teams that you can conceivably see going all the way. Obviously, South Carolina is going to be there, UConn, hopefully Iowa, LSU, Colorado's looked pretty good, Stanford, and maybe a couple other teams bounce up in there.
Well, I appreciate the call, Zach, and please keep giving us updates from Carver. You're one of the lucky ones to be in there every game.
Yep. Thanks, Cory.
Thank you, Zach. Brian Long with a super chat. Clark is in the heads of LSU fans rent-free. Rent-free. I made that comment at CHI the other day that I told you this guy, I could literally have a conversation with my buddy next to me, and I have Creighton fans behind me commentating based on what I feel like a superstar. Like they're breaking everything I say down in a private conversation.
Yeah.
And I hear about it for the next 20 minutes. So that's living in someone's head rent-free.
You would think based on the commentary we received about Caitlin Clark that LSU lost the national championship last year. But that's just me.
Yeah, isn't that odd? Eric says, I see Iowa men are playing Oklahoma Thursday at 2. Is this a tournament? It is. It's part of the San Diego Invitational. And boy, I wish I was going down there. I know our friend Doug who's a regular caller here. He's heading down there with his family. So congratulations to Doug. It's a great place. It's actually down in La Jolla. Man, I wish I was going down there. I wonder what the weather. I'm going to Google this real quick while we're on San Diego weather later this month, because I know when we went down last February, it was not the greatest. And
65 maybe or 70.
Oh my goodness.
What do we got?
75 on Wednesday, 68 Thursday, 68 Friday, 70 Saturday. Gorgeous.
Sounds like golf weather to me.
Sounds like everything weather to me. So people should have fun down there in La Jolla. Should
Absolutely.
be a fun event. G. Willie Kurz. Appreciate this compliment, G. Willie Kurz. Thank you for being here. Please keep up your viewership. Do appreciate it. It's a way to support the show, just simply being here and participating in the live chat. So do appreciate that. If you want to support the show, you can support it by means of donations or super chat. Click the links in the description below for PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. I know I talk about it all the time, but it often gets overlooked. Please do that if you're enjoying the content here and you want to donate to the cause. Also, shop our merch store, shop Amazon with us as you purchase your normal Amazon items through our link. You're supporting the cause here as well. Please hit the like button, folks, on your way out this evening. Please share the show out on social media. You can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at From the Hawkeye or From the Hawkeye of the Storm on Facebook. And, of course, we'll be back with everybody, for football on Friday against Nebraska. But keep in mind, we've got basketball. Don't have the schedule for everything finalized as of yet. As far as, I don't know how we're going to do post-game coverage Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So people just need to hang tight on this. But I know we're going to have post-game coverage Friday after the Iowa-Nebraska game. And I asked you this, Kyle. Are you going to buy Flow Hoops? You told me no. So
yeah, I don't think I can. My best bet will be finding an illegal stream.
How do you find an illegal stream of Flow Hoops? Not that I'm endorsing breaking the law, but I'm just wondering. I don't even know if that's possible.
I've only tried for the Iowa football games on Peacock when I haven't been able to access them. So I found one Iowa football game on one site, and then I haven't really looked for anything else outside of that. So,
well, again, folks, Iowa defeating Drake this evening, 113-90, behind a strong effort from Caitlin Clark. 35 points, 10 assists, 7 steals, 6 rebounds. She was 3 steals and 4 boards away from a quadruple double. Kate Martin with 25 points on 10 and 12 shooting, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Molly Davis added in 10 points on 4 of 6 shooting. Sounds like Hannah Stolke's dealing with a knee injury. Played just 13 minutes this evening. Gabby Marshall continues to struggle from the field, 1 of 16 in 4 of their 5 games. And I believe as a whole, that would make her 6 of 26, I believe. I think she was 5 of 10 against UNI. I'll have to confirm that. But she was 0 of 3 in the night, did get a steal, and started for the Hawks. Sydney Falter playing great basketball right now. 2 of 3 from the field this evening, 21 points, 4 rebounds, 5 points for Sydney, along with 4 assists. Sharon Goodman chipped in over 15 minutes. Very efficient from Sharon, although she missed a couple of bunnies. But she was 7 of 11 from the field, 1 of 1 from the free throw line, 15 points to go along with 3 rebounds. Addison O'Grady played 10 minutes and was 1 of 4 from the field with 4 points. Kyler Feuerbach, 2 of 2 from the field, 7 points for Kylie. And am I missing anybody? I mentioned Taylor McCabe, 11 minutes for Taylor, made 2 threes, 6 points on the night to go along with a rebound and an assist. And then we saw Kenise Johnson Etienne get some time late, as well as Jada. I've always said Giamfi. I don't think it's actually, I keep hearing commentators say Gymphy. Yeah. So I guess I'll need to start calling her Jada Gymphy. I adjusted to the Nico Ragaini thing. Now I just love saying that. I feel like I'm from Italy, Nico Ragaini.
Yeah.
So I'll grow accustomed to Jada Gymphy, if that's how you pronounce it. So again, appreciate everybody being here, folks. Thank you to our sponsors. One final shout out to both Iowa Smokehouse and Brad Bad Meter. It's very simple, folks. Get a quote from our sponsor, from our partner, Brad Bad Meter and his team down at State Farm in Des Moines. If you're paying a lot, and who isn't, for auto insurance, homeowners insurance, renters insurance, etc. See if Brad can save you some money. And as you do so, you're going to be helping the cause of this show and supporting the work being done here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Call 515-256-6480. or visit Brad online at bradvanmeter.com. And check out Iowa Smokehouse. They're providing great snacking foods and salsas, barbecue sauces, all kinds of stuff for game day and any day. Use the code Hawkeyes at iowasmokehouse.com and you'll get 15% off your total order. Again, use the code Hawkeyes at iowasmokehouse.com with their beef jerky, their meat sticks, steak bites, everything. 15% off, and you'll get free shipping on $50 orders, courtesy of Iowa Smokehouse. Our RTI Threads player of the game this evening is Kate Martin, 25 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 turnovers. If they can get more games like this out of her, this team is going to be very, very hard to beat. It took almost historically low number offensively for Iowa to lose to Kansas State the other day, 58 points, and they almost doubled that number this evening with 113 points on the board. Incredible. But the Iowa women will move on to play in, was it Astoria? I don't have this. Let me pull up the schedule. I believe it's Astoria. Am I right on that, Kyle?
I believe so, yeah.
Iowa and let's see, Purdue Fort Wayne,
Purdue Fort Wayne.
Friday. Their game is on Friday, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Purdue Fort Wayne down in Estero, Florida. I have no idea where that's at. Let's look that up. We're looking everything else up on the live broadcast. So why don't we do that? Estero, Florida is. Let's see where Estero is. That is down in the, let's see, Village in Florida. Okay, that's near Fort Myers. So that should be a nice trip for the women. That's I figured maybe it was up in the Panhandle, but it is down near Fort Myers. So they should have a good time down there, and they'll get Purdue Fort Wayne first, and then potentially North Carolina. They'll get Florida Gulf Coast potentially in the second round, and then maybe a North Carolina or Kansas State in the championship round, assuming they can win that game. And all those games are on Flow Hoops. It is a subscription-only site. But we'll be here for post-game coverage at some point. Again, don't know the schedule yet, but we'll be here covering the sport you all love. Kyle, appreciate you being on here for a few minutes again this evening, and we'll talk to you very, very soon.
All right, sounds good.
All right, for Kyle, I'm Cory Brada from the Hawkeye of the Storm. We'll talk to everybody soon, and we'll be back with you on Tuesday afternoon, 4:30 p.m. Central Time with my good friend Mark Rogers over at the Voice of College Football, talking Iowa football. We'll see you then.